We have people in the that have joined us. We'll be starting in just a moment. And thank you so much for being here today. All right, here we go. Good after everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Josh Basil here, and thank you so much for joining us today. We're truly grateful to have you here. Yesterday was the 36th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, so it's a truly a special day for me and so many, and just always reminds me of how far we've come and where we're going. So, and everything with accessibility, it's just a great time to have this conversation. But accessibility is not the responsibility of just one team. It touches content, design, engineering, legal, marketing, really anyone who helps shape a digital experience. And now AI is working its way into all of those areas. And that creates tremendous opportunity, but it also creates accessibility risks that can be easily missed. And today we're going to make those risks easier to recognize, and more importantly, give you practical ways to respond. Next slide. So here's where we're headed today. First, we're going to look at how AI has become a core infrastructure for many businesses. Then we will connect that growth to accessibility and examine why speed can outpace review. We're also going to share the results of our own in-house testing, what AI actually produces when it's asked to build or evaluate digital experiences, and we're going to leave some time for some questions. So please keep them coming throughout the presentation. Throw them in the chat whenever you're thinking about it. Throw it in the chat. We love to hear from you. These conversations are bring this presentation to the next level. Next slide. But before we get into the findings, I want to be clear about where the data comes from. The research we're sharing today is accessiBe's own research conducted with Qualtrics to better understand how businesses are using generative AI and how leaders are thinking about accessibility risks. So we have studied broader accessibility trends over the years and before, but this research goes deeper into generative AI because the technology and the way teams use it are changing incredibly quickly. Next slide. For those I have not met yet, I'm Josh Basil. I'm the Relations Manager here at accessiBe. Been here now over 5.5 years and just love being a part of the accessiBe family. I'm also a disability rights advocate. I'm a trial attorney and a person who relies on assistive technology every day. I use voice dictation software, voice controlled software, on-screen keyboard, and a quad stick that I control with my mouth that you see in front of me. Although with these excessive technologies to operate kind of different devices and navigate the internet, so this is like it's truly meaningful for me, both professionally and it's deeply personal because without accessible technology, I lose my independence. And with it, it's just I'm able to be a part of this world and be a part of businesses. I'm thrilled to be joined by Sharon Yuda, our Vice President of Research and Development. Sharon, I will let you introduce yourself.
Thank you, Josh. So hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Uda. I'm leading the engineering team here at accessiBe for a little over a year. Before that, I spent my career leading engineering organizations across companies of different sizes, from startups to larger enterprises and across different industries. My former two workplaces were actually around cybersecurity. This is my first role in the accessibility space, and it has been an incredibly rewarding experience. It's not every day that you get to work on a cutting edge technology while also doing good, helping make the web more inclusive and accessible. AI obviously has become a major focus for us as well. we use AI extensively across product design and engineering to accelerate our entire software development lifecycle. And we're also building AI-powered products for our customers. So we get to experience AI from both sides as developers when building our software, and also as a company creating AI solutions. One thing that we have learned is that while AI can generate code incredibly fast, it doesn't automatically generate accessible code. And that's exactly what we're going to explore today.
Thank you, Sharon. And AI is quickly becoming core infrastructure for e-commerce businesses. So here we go. Let's dive in. Next slide. All right. I love this slide. 78% of the brands we surveyed now use AI to generate at least 1/4 of their content. That is no longer a small experiment in any shape or form. It means that AI is actively shaping the customer experience. And for someone like me who navigates technology with assistive tools, that quality of that output really matters. It can mean that I can experience or I can't experience. So with AI, I may write a product description, generate alt text. It can power a chatbot, and it can personalize a page or help build a checkout flow. So we're using it in all parts of our digital experience and what we're trying to create today. And when it works, it can make information easier to create and find. And when accessibility is missing, it can create those barriers that I mentioned, and everyone that is trying to like experience it in real time. And it's so important to get it right and to do the different steps to be able to make sure we can get it done right. And the good news is that accessibility, search optimization, and answer engine optimization often reinforce one another. So clear structure and meaningful descriptions help people and technology understand content. So the question is not whether businesses can use AI. The question is, how can we use it while protecting accessibility? Next slide. So the encouraging part is that teams already recognize the concern. More than 82% of the leaders we surveyed believe AI may be creating unseen barriers for shoppers with disabilities. Unseen is really the key word that we need to focus on. A page may look polished while a keyboard user cannot reach a button. So if a person that is a keyboard user can't reach it, that's a huge problem, and that's somebody that's not going to have a good experience. And like an image may have alt text that sounds complete, but describes the wrong product altogether. And a chatbot may work visually, but fail to announce new messages to a screen reader. All these little things add up to creating either a bad experience or a good experience for those that are on your websites. So these problems can be invisible to the person publishing the content. So anybody that's creating it, and immediate obvious to someone like myself or others that are trying to use it. So awareness is a meaningful first step, and the next step is building a process that can catch those barriers before the customer does. Next slide. So let me put this into context from my perspective now as a lawyer. So e-commerce is one of the industries that is most frequently targeted by digital accessibility legal action, and this has been this way for many years. AI did not create kind of that exposure, but what AI has changed is the speed and scale at which inaccessible content can be produced. So among surveyed brands that face kind of accessibility legal action, AI generated content was the most frequently cited factor, and 96% of those matters ended in a site fix, a settlement, or both. So the practical lesson is not to wait for a demand letter before beginning the work. Start early, document the steps you take, be able to show your testing, remediation, and ongoing improvement. As a trial attorney, being able to show those, having that evidence to back you up can go a really long way. And remember, this cannot sit with just one person. And, the developers, e-commerce leaders, content teams, agencies, and legal teams all have a role in this process. Next slide. All right, so we'd love to hear from you, as I mentioned. So here we go. How pressured do you feel to publish AI generated content quickly? So we're now going to create a poll for you. Please answer the poll, and if you've seen kind of that pressure affect your review process, share an example in the comments as well. So we're going to take a moment for everybody to answer the poll, and please again share your comments if you have any with us. All right, here are the results. We had 13% no pressure at all. We had 29% slight pressure, 23% moderate pressure, 29% significant pressure, and 6% extreme pressure. So across the board, we're seeing kind of it distributed wherever you're at within your journey. But AI generated content is there, and it's coming at us pretty darn fast. Sapir, Sean, is anything jumping out at you with those poll results?
I'm excited for you to share the results from the survey, what 300 e-commerce leaders had shared with us. Let's go to the next slide.
You got it. All right, so thank you for weighing in, everybody. The results reflect what we found in the research. 67% of respondents feel at least moderate pressure to publish AI-generated content quickly. This is not an anti-AI message. We're excited about AI, but we use it extensively ourselves. The challenge is that AI increases production speed while the time and process for accessibility review may not increase with it. So Sharon, your team is working with AI while continuing to make accessibility a priority. What does that balance look like in practice?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we're seeing in engineering as well. AI has fundamentally changed expectations around delivery speed. We're all seeing LinkedIn, posts. We're hearing stories of products or prototypes that used to take months to build and now being delivered in just a couple of weeks. AI is definitely raising the bar for how quickly teams are expected to move. This is also my expectations from my teams. But to balance that, as an engineering leader, my job is also to make sure that we don't confuse speed with quality. So as you said, Josh, we absolutely embrace AI. We use it extensively across engineering, design, and product, and we are building AI-powered products ourselves. But faster delivery doesn't remove our responsibility, my personal responsibility to ship secure, reliable, and accessible experiences. And accessibility is one of those areas where it's very easy to assume, yeah, AI will handle it for me, when in reality, it often hasn't. That's why we see accessibility as something that needs to be intentionally built into the development process and not just, inspected at the end.
We absolutely can kind of go that extra next few steps and review it and have processes in place. It really makes all the difference in the world. But like if you don't get in that mindset or in that rhythm, you can kind of, I don't say cut corners, but it is cutting corners of just relying just on AI to get it done.
Yeah, it's the same for security. It's the same for any other code review that you do. This is something that you need to verify that is being handled.
And the more that you do it, though, the faster you get at it. You start speaking the language, you're able to recognize where kind of those barriers come in, and
Yeah.
you start to get really good at it. And the next thing you know, you're not only welcoming in certain customers, but you're welcoming all customers, which I think every business wakes up to be able to serve all their customers. And I know no business wakes up saying I want to block certain customers from being paying customers. So this is smart business. Next slide. All right, so the tension shows up clearly in the data. 8 in 10 brands publish at least some AI-generated content without review. And to be fair, most teams cannot manually review every word, image, and component before it goes live. The goal is not to create an impossible standard, but publishing with little review or no review creates a predictable gap. So our earlier research found that accessibility legal exposure was already widespread before generative AI became embedded into everyday workflows. So AI did not create the unseen problem. It added speed and scale. So the answer is a review process designed for that scale with the right combination of technology and human experience. I really love what this slide is all about. Next slide. So what happens when we test the output ourselves? Sharona,
Yeah.
So
what we've done is to attend the question that I mentioned earlier. Can AI handle accessibility for me end to end, and I can forget about it? So for that, we conducted 2 tests. So let's start with the first one. Our first question was actually a very practical one. If teams are already using AI to build websites, can we improve the outcomes simply by telling the model to pay attention to accessibility? So to test that, we asked 3 leading AI models to generate the exact simple website. The only thing we changed was the prompt. So we started with a standard prompt. This is create this website for me, blah, 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 and make it accessible. Then we added explicit WCAG guidance provided by our own accessibility expert, very detailed one with refined instructions. And finally, we used the dedicated accessibility skill. To keep the evaluation unbiased, every generated website was reviewed manually by one of our accessibility experts rather than by an automated tool to make sure that the test is unbiased and clean. And as you can see in the chart, the trend was clear. Better instructions consistently produced more accessible code. Every model improved when we gave it more accessibility context. But the improvement had a ceiling. No matter how much guidance we provided, every model still generated websites with significant accessibility issues. None of them came close to producing an accessible result. So prompting is a lever, but it's not a solution. So far, we looked in this test at AI as a builder, but that's only half of the story. Many organizations have production websites already built, and the next question is whether AI can reliably audit an existing site. So please, next slide. So that's exactly what we set out to test. So here in the second test, we took a real production website, a more complex one, and asked leading AI models to identify its accessibility issues. So the question was, this is my website, please review it and provide me with a feedback of all accessibility issues you can find in my website. We then compared their findings against a deterministic accessibility engine, our own access flow, also with AXScore, the industry standard scanner, included as a reference point, an additional reference point. To ensure the comparison is objective, again, all findings were manually reviewed and validated by our own accessibility experts. So we identified 3 patterns. The first one is coverage. AI found, as you can see on the left side panel, AI found only a fraction of the accessibility issues identified by the deterministic engines. Even the best prompt produced there was still a significant gap comparing to the deterministic engines. The second one, also very important one, consistency. We ran the same test against the same website under the same exact conditions 10 times, repeatedly, the same test. Each run produced a different set of findings when using the models. In contrast, our deterministic engines produced identical results every single time. So if you audit the same site twice and get 2 different answers, that's not just inconsistency, you actually have a reliability problem. And you can't actually measure your improvement over time. And finally, accuracy. On the right side, you can see that AI generated significantly more false positives, meaning that engineering teams could spend valuable time investigating an issue that is not an actual issue. So when you put those three findings together, the conclusion is clear. AI alone isn't a reliable accessibility auditor for production websites. It misses too many real issues, produces inconsistent results, and creates unnecessary work through false positives. Next slide, please. So let me pull this together in 5 points. So baseline accessibility is low. Every model we tested produced real unresolved issues right out of the gate with no accessibility guidance at all. Prompting helps, but to some extent. A better prompt cuts the number of issues, but it never gets them all the way to zero. AI on its own is still unreliable. It gives you different answers if you run it twice, and close to half of the time, what it flags is not even a real issue. And deterministic issue will roughly find 10 times more than AI does at the same time. One more thing worth mentioning, even though we didn't test it directly, complexity increases the challenge. So this was tested on a rather simple website. When you increase complexity, the results even get higher. So when we pull it all together, the takeaway isn't don't use AI. It's that AI needs something underneath it that requires your review, that catches what it misses and give you some answers every time, the same answer every time you check.
Thank you, Sharon. The research makes one thing clear to me. There's no one single accessibility solution for every organization, and the right approach really does depend on your technology, your team, and where you are in your accessibility journey. So that is why the accessiBe platform supports multiple paths. Runtime remediation can address high volume, real-time needs at scale, and developer tools can help teams identify and fix issues at the source. And then expert-led remediation supports kind of the complex experiences where human judgments and hands-on work are truly essential. So the goal across all three is the same: accessibility program that is measurable, ongoing, and defensible, and an experience that works better for real people. So we got through the presentation. Next slide. And we're now at the question part, the question stage. So I was not looking in the chat. Sapir, do we have any chat questions, or do you want to ask any other questions we might have?
I think I sent you a question before. Can you check?
Yes, absolutely. So what does proper accessibility review actually look like? And for me, it's all about kind of it being layered. Um, we're looking at the fact that automated scanning cannot catch every technical issue, so it can do a good job of revealing a lot of the accessibility experiences for an individual. But at the end of the day, the expert review and the user testing kind of really brings it to that next level. So it's so important to recognize kind of the difference also between something that becomes accessible, but also that's usable for your visitors. And that's kind of part of that accessibility journey as well. Another question that we got was, if no model gets to zero, is prompting even worth it? And yes, it is absolutely worth it. Doing the modeling is not going to get you to zero, but our data and research shows that it can bring you from 74 to 35 within the accessibility issues that come up. And that's a 53% reduction. So this is truly meaningful, and better prompting is also a strong first filter to be able to get it to the next step but it's not, the substitute for the testing and for the verification of from your team members.
Josh, we do
Um,
have a new question that I think we can ask Sharon. So, this is from Alexandra. Aside from accessiBe, what other tools are available for helping with AI code and making it more accessible? What do we look for, especially in these vibe coding tools? So when someone's starting to do vibe coding, what sort of accessibility best practices, I guess, could they offer?
So we are seeing accessibility skills out there. One of them was used here as well. We tested it. We took the most popular one and it was used in our test. I think that we will see maybe in the platforms of like Lovable, Bolt, Replit and stuff. I think we will see we're seeing skills there. Some of them are mentioning that they provide accessibility capabilities. Although we conducted a different, smaller test specifically for Lovable, and the results were still the same. Like it was a very small test, still more than 10 accessibility issues, 4 of them are critical. So I'm I'm not sure that we're currently, maybe at the future, maybe 2 years from now. Currently, AI by itself does not provide you with a bulletproof solution. And it makes sense because of if you think about it, AI is actually trained and built over the code that exists in the world that we know that most of it is inaccessible.
That was such a strong point that only 4% of the internet is accessible, and then AI is being trained on that. And with the pressure to add so much AI or to implement that into workflows, it's really going to make a difference. And we'll see how that sort of balances out or overrides entirely in the coming years. Josh, I also have a question from you. This one's from Brett, and I think as a lawyer, you'll be able to answer this. Brett's wondering if any other industries or business sizes are getting higher and more intense scrutiny for accessibility, or if everyone is getting pressured.
so that's a great question. And we're seeing it across the board. So yes, e-commerce has a ton because we're talking with a lot of dollars exchanged and it's a right target on its back. But we're looking at so many other industries within the financial services, healthcare, education, manufacturer. Everybody's feeling this in the sense of if they're not bringing accessibility into their framework and they're not kind of having that backing of the evidence that they need to show that they are proactively doing something and what steps they're taking to go forward. It's just, yes, it's across the board, but those companies that do take the necessary steps have been quite successful at getting through and continuing to move forward within their business and accessibility journey.
And we're seeing some data, this is preliminary, but we're seeing some data that shows that the businesses that are handling this sooner are improving both their SEO, their AEO, which is basically the AI engine optimization, because it's relying on accessibility best practices. And that indirectly will also impact revenue and drop-off rates on websites. So there's a lot of implications and benefits, depending on how you look at it, to making your website accessible.
Well, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, if it's going to be accessible to somebody that has a disability for them to experience it, all of the crawlers and everything that search engines are using to be able to learn as much information from that site is going to get that better story. If things are blank for somebody with a disability or blocked for someone with a disability, so are those engines are going to have a tougher time experiencing what that site is all about. And the truth is, with the disability community, and the studies and statistics have backed this up. It is the most brand loyal community that you will find in the world today. When we're treated right and we have good experiences, we come back again and again as repeat customers. And we also tend to tell our friends and family about our experiences. So when they're good, they come back as repeat customers because it's truly like I'm so grateful when I can go from start to finish on a website and check out without either being blocked or having to ask a family member later on when they come home to be able to help me. Like it's having good experiences is what every business wants.
We have one more question from Miguel that I'm going to take an attempt to answer, and then Sharon and Josh, I would love your reactions as well. Is the widget enough for runtime protection? Due to limited capabilities, we rely on the monthly reports to address any new issues we detect. So it's mostly a reactive rather than preventative approach. This is not just for AI content, but in general. So thank you for that question. I think it's a really important one. The widget is a great solution for having that first step in your accessibility journey. It offers that runtime support, meaning that users can make the adjustments that are going to make the website more usable for them while also protecting you in terms of the compliance or mitigating risk more likely. When it comes to actually taking your next steps in the accessibility journey, and this is especially if you're going quickly with AI, you want to make sure that you're addressing this. And what Josh was saying earlier, and Josh, you can confirm if I'm on point here. You want to have the proper documentation that you're taking the right steps. And this isn't just supposed to sit with one owner in a company. This is a shared responsibility, whether it's your marketing content, your product development, or your product information, and how different team members can also access information. So it's a great step in the right direction, but we definitely recommend having a holistic solution. And just because I see this as another question in the chat, Cheryl asked if we also do PDF remediations. The answer to that is yes. So just putting that out there that we do also offer manual accessibility services. Josh, Sharon, do you have any reactions to the widget for runtime protection and how to have a reactive versus a proactive solution?
Yep, we're never going to be able to flip one switch to fix everything, and it's but what we can do is be proactive and kind of tackle it from many different angles to be able to do this to the best of what businesses are going to approach it, but also for the user experience on the end. And truthfully, I know I said this earlier, but the more you start to do it, the easier it gets, the faster it gets, and it just becomes natural within the process of running your business. And it really becomes easy, and it becomes kind of the way of conducting the business. And then search engines, are able to learn it better on their end, to be able to tell your story better when people are doing their searches. It just there's so many wins across the board to bring accessibility into your journey. And then what I love the most about the widget as well is kind of the usability component. Like accessibility is awesome, accessibility. But at the end of the day, usability brings it to another level for me, for based on whatever types of technology I might be using at that given moment on a computer, on a phone, on a device, on a tablet. But being able to have that usability component, and especially whatever that type of website might be, whether it's something I'm trying to shop on or whether it's something I'm trying to learn on or research on, kind of that usability widget creates like a customized experience for me for that particular website. And I love being able to have a better experience for a given site. So, Sharon, anything on your end, or is there any other
No,
questions?
yeah, I think you phrased it perfectly.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for joining today. In the chat, I have linked a couple of things, specifically in response to a question from Susan about the AEO information that I mentioned before. There's a blog in the chat right now. I also linked all of the research, well, actually just the Gen AI research that was released today. So thank you for being part of our kickoff for this research. That is live. We do have more industry reports that relate to government accessibility, higher education. I know that we had a few of you here, healthcare as well, and of course, e-commerce. If you have any questions, please follow up with us or look forward to the recording of this meeting. We're very grateful for your time and your questions, and we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you everyone for being here, and especially with the ADA, right? Happening, the ADA anniversary happened yesterday, and we really love to be here on your journey. accessiBe is great at what we do, and we're here for you. You don't have to be alone. So thank you, and Sharon, thank you so much for all of your wisdom and everything that you do.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everyone.